that they think they deserve when they don't really,
Yep.
With that all day. So I'm like, yeah. So I'm going to give him some time. I sent
Cool.
the link, and I'm hoping he will. But I see him talking about looking for work. So
Yeah.
it'd be a great spot for him to get some networking. But
Good.
His hashtag is share love.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. Well, cool. Well,
I wanted to show off a little bit. I got a new spacesuit.
Good.
Oh, wow. Oh,
That's
cool.
great.
That's
How nice.
cool.
That's cool.
Very
And
cool.
yeah.
Shatner collection.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh!
Yes.
I am so excited for him. I mean, I'm on the fence as far as being. I'm not the hugest Shatner fan, but I don't hate him either.
No. No. How could you? How could you?
I haven't had a chance to watch the video yet. I should get around to that.
But I also got a new helmet.
Oh, good.
It was I'll have to look on my orders on Amazon because it was like $30, I think.
Oh, wow.
That's fun. That's fun. Well, that's definitely you. And again, we're doing the simulcast with our table evening and also our Mr. Sci-Fi. So it's pretty exciting. So so great. Anything else, Galinda?
No, nothing new this week.
Okay.
I just have a little bit to show off, but I am hoping. But if he doesn't show up this week, I'll keep kind of casually working on him.
Great.
And see if I can maybe get it invited. He might be a good interview for Adam because he does a lot of voiceovers for animation. This is Erebos from The Dragon Prince.
Oh, cool. Okay. That's great.
And, Three Dogs from Fallout 3, and I can list it on. But yeah, he's
cool.
He's good people. I've been following him on Twitter for a long time. He posts a lot of positivity and good stuff.
Well, good.
And
well,
I think he would. I think he might appreciate the company, and I think we might enjoy his company.
Well, that sounds great.
Cool.
Well,
Great.
we'll see him when we see him. Anything else for now?
No, that's all for now.
Okay. Yay! 3 cheers.
Yay.
Excellent. So, Adam, is there a Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Just right in now.
Great.
We just got a hot off
guys.
the presses.
Excellent.
Mr. Sci-Fi question from Fit to be Read.
Great.
If you had to guess, how many sci-fi novels do you think you have read in your life?
Well, certainly more than 2. It's thousands, obviously. I've read many books. Like many people, the bulk of my reading was when I was, a kid and a teenager, because that's when you have the time to knock off, a couple books a week or more. But I'm always reading multiple books at once, usually a nonfiction science and or history book, and then some new book that I've heard good things about, and then sometimes some science fiction rarity I've heard of from the past, and I juggle between them, and I listen to audiobooks, and also I read books like the Samuel R. Delany book I'm reading now. He was one of my teachers at Clarion, and it's fun to read what he has to say nowadays. So yeah, that's my story, and I just got this off of eBay. It's a Columbus of Space, which is one of the earliest space travel books. It's from 1911, and it's by Garrett P. Serviss, who wrote a sequel to The War of the Worlds called Edison's Conquest of Mars, which stars Thomas Edison, and that's another really interesting title as well. So cool. So let's see. So Adam, since you have to bug out in the nearest future, why don't you take your turn?
Sure. I mean, not too near. I just need to leave at like 6:30. But anyway, hi. For those who are new, my name is Adam Sartain. I am an actor.
Cool.
A voice actor. With over 78 different voices, accents, and impressions I can do.
Cool.
And I'm a musician and a bunch of other stuff. And I am an associate producer on
Space Command. Yeah.
So right now I'm focusing on Space Command and my other job, which is as a scare actor at the LA Haunted Hayride.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
So I get to startle people from a chair. It's very fun.
Great.
It does do a number on my voice, though. So after a few days of doing it, it tends to work on my voice. So next time you hear from me, I may sound like this.
Yeah. Well, that works too.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, And then also recently, back in September, I sent in a self-tape audition for an Untitled HBO production,
Cool.
which I didn't hear back from them until this week.
Mhm.
I got a request to answer a few questions and send it to their
Great.
casting director.
Yes.
So
that's
I
good.
just sent those in a few days ago, and we'll
Great.
see.
Terrific. That's great.
I got past the first round, so which
Yay.
doesn't normally happen on self-tapes.
That's good. That's good. Congratulations. So
Yeah.
neat. So is there anything you need?
Not right now. No, I'm doing pretty good.
Okay, cool. Well, 3 cheers, Adam.
Congratulations.
Yay. Excellent. So is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question? Because we're doing a simulcast with my Mr. Sci-Fi YouTube channel as well.
Yes. Our next question is a Scott Baker question.
Cool.
He says, do you think Shatner's remarks were scripted?
I didn't feel like that to me because he seemed to be so genuinely floored by the experience. He seemed to be speaking extemporaneously, and I've heard Shatner speak many times over the years in front of audiences, and he's good, you know, speaking off the top of his head, and he still has, you know, his marbles. I mean, that's great. He really is astonishing for 90. I mean, the fact that he can move and talk and you know, I mean, he's most of the people I know who are 90 are just glad they have soft food, you know, and so he's really impressive, really impressive. Not that he's really likable, but there is something to be said for I mean, he's a genius at self-promotion, and this topped all of it. And again, it was, I said in my Mr. Sci-Fi commentary that, like, I'm very glad he was safe. Space travel is incredibly dangerous still, but if he had died in space, if the rocket had blown up or, you know, ejected him in the vacuum or whatever, you know, that would have been, what a way for Captain Kirk to go. You know, I mean, the being killed by Malcolm McDowell was really shitty in that Star Trek film, and you know, everyone was disappointed by that. But my God, you know, the headline, you know, Shatner dies at 90 in space. That would have been the absolute perfect, you know, topper. But not that I'm wishing that had happened, but it's
Right.
just it was a win-win. Whatever happened, it was a win-win. So yeah, so that's great.
And after all, once the rockets go up, who cares where they come from?
Yes, Tom
That's
Lehrer.
not my department,
Says Werner von Braun. Yeah, it's and Werner von Braun is a very interesting character. I highly recommend that all you guys look him up and find out about him. He's really an interesting story. So okay, so I guess Dave, you're next on my screen if you want to.
Oh, and real quick, sorry. Speaking of that song,
yes,
there is one more performance of The Layers of Tom Lehrer.
Oh, cool.
Which I am helping out with on
October
23rd at 8 p.m.
Swell.
If you look up on Hollywood Fringe, you'll find, just search The Layers of Tom Lehrer.
Cool.
You'll find for tickets and information.
Great. That's great. And for those who don't know Tom Lehrer's songs, they're well worth becoming acquainted with. He's an amazing talent, unique. So, okay. So, and did we have a Mr. Sci-Fi question? It all blurs. No, is there one to do?
Yeah, you did.
I did. Okay, good. Yeah. So, Dave, you're up. Go for it.
Oh, hi. So it's been a busy week here at Space Command Central.
Yes.
I'm Dave Edison. I'll be your editor
for the evening.
And gee, what have we done this week? We've done just bouncing back and forth between different tasks all day.
Mm-hmm.
Sending stuff to Marco Gushowitz, who will be here probably at some point. He's working on the behind the scenes. Not behind the scenes, the DVD extras.
Cool. Great.
And so I'm sending him what he needs on those.
Mm-hmm.
And he's as flummoxed as I am, but we're trying to get everything together for a release. Fingers crossed for the holiday season.
Cool.
And let's see, we're downloading VFX shots from Chile.
Wow.
As we speak, and adding those. I just revised a scene to have it play a little bit better.
Wow.
All kinds of other stuff going on. This,
cool.
By the way, I haven't had that talk here before. Mr. Sci-Fi people can't see this, but this is one of my favorite things that I own. This is a Kincaid remote control ornithopter.
Wow.
Oh my God.
That's neat.
Oh wow.
It doesn't have the tail on it at the moment, but designed and hand built by the late Sean Kincaid.
Wow.
Who,
oh my gosh.
moved from nice warm Florida
Wow.
to Wyoming, where he found an icy road one night in his car, and we lost Sean.
Oh
But, I
dear.
mean, a brilliant designer and inventor of these remote control ornithopters.
Wow.
And if you have access to YouTube, and frankly, who doesn't?
Yes.
Every minute of the day, if you go on YouTube and type in Kincaid, Kinkade, Parkhawk, 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 two words. That's what this one is. I got a couple of these, and they'll show up, and people will be showing off their ornithopters flying into the sky.
Wow.
I've also got a slightly larger one called the Slow Hawk, and too bad we lost Sean. He was a pretty amazing guy.
Wow.
Anyway, so
that's a touching story.
Anyway, that's other matters.
Yes.
The loss of life.
Yes. Please.
So what's going on, Mark? I've sent you two new Twilight Zone minutes.
Thank you.
Today, that was another thing we did.
Yes.
And it all blends together.
It's exciting. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. I keep pushing buttons and sending stuff into the cyber realm, and
doesn't get better.
We'll see what happens. David Bartlett is here, so we'll also discuss. We've been talking about what were we talking about? We had a few discussions this week about DVD extras and other aspects of this project. So we're moving.
Cool.
And we're trying to get it to you as fast as possible.
That's great.
As soon as possible.
Yeah, that's great.
And that's again.
Locked reels.
Locked reels.
Yes, we locked reels.
Yes.
That's pretty impressive. Yes.
Yes.
For those who don't know, that means we sectioned off the project into reels, still called reels, even though reels are no longer involved. And we second them off and say, okay, this is locked. Even if we change some of the look within it, the timing is locked, and we've just got one more reel to lock.
That's great.
And, that's great.
The definition of a locked reel is the directors won't change it anymore.
Oh yeah.
Really? Is that the definition? Okay.
Yes, we'll get this thing done, and then sometime next year we'll change it because something will come up. It'll be delightful. It'll be one for the ages. So anyway, we're getting there.
Good.
Right.
And,
okay.
In case anybody was wondering, this is what rambling is called.
Okay.
So,
well,
I will talk to you next time.
Okay. Yay, Dave. Yay. 3 cheers. So, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Yes. Our next Mr. Sci-Fi question comes to us from CK. And he asks, what is your fondest memory with Ray Bradbury?
Oh my God, the totality of every minute I ever spent with him. It was just great. I mean, going to his house, sitting and talking with him about life and career and everything, art. It was just an honor beyond words. And I actually quote a number of things he said to me in the new book, in Greenlighting Yourself. And I may someday write a book called My Ray Bradbury, which will really chart the course of our friendship. But I was just thrilled. I couldn't have had a greater time. I mean, he was amazing, one of a kind. He's the first writer I ever saw in person. He was speaking at a library when I was, gosh, I don't know, maybe 7 or something, or 5. And I sat in the front row ahead of the chairs. I sat on the rug and looked up at this guy who was a hero to me. And he said, ideally, your life and your work and your art should all come from the same place. And he touched his heart. And that really, really stuck with me. And I believe that to this day. So it was terrific. I'm very honored to have known him. So let's see. So Hallie, I don't know if you want to take your turn, but you're next on my screen. You're way back there.
Hello, Hallie.
Hallie, are you? Maybe she's taking a call. So why don't we go to you, Chelsea, and then we'll come back to Hallie in a moment. If you're ready, if you want to unmute.
Hello. Hi, I'm Chelsea.
Hi.
Sorry, I was muting I had the Eagles game playing in the back. Okay.
Oh no.
Hi, I'm Chelsea. I am an actress, writer.
Great.
currently in pre-production for a proof of concept that I'm shooting. So
Great.
that's been fun. And just building a team right now, interviewing people. And that's basically where I'm at right now with that.
That's great.
Is there something you need?
I just came into the group just to see what this was like. But at the moment, positivity.
Okay, good.
Great.
Well, that's a lot to be said for that. And
the responses when when you put out requests for this job or that job, the responses from the table are usually pretty good.
Yeah, there's an email that you can get on. David Bartlett can connect you up with the table email, and we have thousands of members all over the around the world actually, and tons of offshoots. And we've been running this for 28 years, and so we ask the people come to one meeting in person, and now that would qualify as being on Zoom to get the vibe, which is supportive and compassionate. And then once that happens, then they can get on the email and utilize it. As much as they like, and it goes out to everybody.
You can say you're seeking to find like a DP or whatever you're seeking, and the best way to lock in people is, one, be clear about whether it's pay or no pay or small pay, and the other thing is, if you say something about your project that you love, well, they'll understand what they're getting into. Like some people like horror, not me, but some people really like horror. Some people really like something that speaks to the human heart, but just like a sentence about this is this kind of project, then you'll get people who are the better fit. The emotional hook.
So any other questions? Anything you'd like to know?
Of course, when you ask that question, that's nothing.
Yeah.
When there's something, I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, that's fine. Well, welcome. 3 cheers. Yay! So, Adam, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi, Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Yes. Our next question is another one from Fit to Be Read.
Great.
He says he really loves Samuel R. Delany.
Yes.
Are there other less known authors you think that have a similar writing style to him that you might recommend?
That's hard because he's really on the way far edge of experimental writing. With Dahlgren and titles like that. He sold his first science fiction novels when he was in his teens, and he was writing kind of more straight ahead science fiction initially, but then he got more and more experimental and really took a hammer to things. And so in terms of that, it's tricky. I mean, obviously Octavia Butler is very, solid and interesting. And, I have my favorites, but they're more toward the straight narrative kind of side, like Canonical for Leibowitz by Walter M. Miller Jr., the short stories of Robert Sheckley. I can make a... Well, Vonnegut is, of course, a science fiction writer who's not usually viewed as a science fiction writer, but of course, Vonnegut's terrific. He's one of my favorite writers. But there's a batch of them. I mean, the thing is to see sort of who you find entertaining to read, and then you just follow those people. I mean, Amazon and eBay make it so much easier to find your favorite author's work than it used to be. And it's just really remarkable how that works. So let's see. So Hallie, you're back now. Why don't you take your turn?
Thank you so much. Sorry about that. It was a business call I had to take.
That's okay. Sure.
That's fine. I didn't miss too much.
No, not at all.
So my personal life has gotten very weird. These last couple of weeks I haven't been able to be on because I had my roommate pass away.
Oh no!
I was gone at the time, and I got a phone call from the upstairs neighbors saying her friends were trying to get a hold of her because they couldn't, and they needed permission to go inside my apartment and get the apartment manager, and I did that, and they found her gone.
Wow.
In our apartment.
Wow.
That was terrible. And then on the way back, I was taking care of my mom in the Bay Area, and on the way back, fluke out of flukes, like being hit by lightning. I was driving down 101, a 4-lane version of 101, and a coyote ran out in front of my car, and I hit and killed it, and it smashed my car, and I killed it, and it was really traumatic.
Wow.
So it's been a weird little while.
Yeah.
That was like a week and a half ago.
Yes.
So,
yes.
anyway,
well, this again follows, was really great example in terms of my credo: don't do anything. you know. So it's just like, you know, you're screwed. Yeah, exactly. Under the covers. Yes. Yeah, exactly. But you know, I mean, and it also reminds me of that old joke about, you know, where were you when Kennedy was assassinated? Well, I had an alibi, you know. So, you know, but it's but sorry to hear about all this terrible stuff. I'm really sorry. So separate from that,
So that,
you know,
that derailed some of my
yeah,
more creative work. But,
yes. But is there anything you need?
Yes, there are a couple things.
Please.
I wrote a novel a few years ago. It's self-published now.
Cool.
And I didn't really roll it out well. So almost nobody knows about it. But what I wanted to do was to make an audiobook version of it.
Great.
I watched a SAG workshop this last week, webinar this last week about creating studio for that level of audio work.
Yes.
And decided that where I live is probably too noisy to do it.
A lot of people use their closets.
I know, but even that, I'm right near Fairfax and Santa Monica, and it's just I don't know, and there's leaf blowers all the time, and it's kind of crazy. But so one thing I request is if someone has that kind of an situation, I would like to maybe do trade. I have been a massage person for a very long time, so possibly a trade or something like that. Or if they, it will be my first time doing audiobooks. I'm wondering if maybe I should just get someone else who's done it a whole lot to do it.
It depends. It depends. It depends. It's a very tedious process because books are long. I mean, I don't know how long your book is, but most books are long. And but on the other hand, you know, it's sort of like if you want to be yourself telling your book to people, you know, it's your identity. And but on the other hand, there are professional readers, but to get somebody to do it for free, you might be able to work out some kind of split with them. But minimally I would put out, but I think by minimally I would put out the word on the table email to say, these are the services I'm willing to trade. I'm sure you'll get response. Sarah Jo, what's her name? Her last name. Anyway, there's a voiceover person and she's got her own little at-home recording studio, and she's super nice. So that but you'll get a lot of response. You'll get a lot of response.
Just get some samples, because some people are really good.
What I would suggest is try reading a chapter aloud just into your iPhone. Just record it on audio on your iPhone and just see what it feels like to read it. And if you're thinking, oh, I'm really enjoying this, that's one thing. If you're thinking, Jesus Christ, when will I be done with this? Then you know. Yeah. And I mean, I once read years ago, I read one of Michael Crichton's novels that wasn't available on audio. I'm a huge devotee of audiobooks. I actually read the entire book into a recorder, and I've actually posted on Mr. Sci-Fi. It's the novel Sphere by Michael Crichton. And I had a fun time reading it, you know, in little installments aloud. But it's not something I would ever choose to do as a career. And, you know, so there's that.
Yeah, so I don't know how I'll feel about it, but I think that's a good idea just to see, you know, even if because as you say, it's really, books are long. So if I don't enjoy it right off the bat, I will know that. That was a good idea.
Yeah.
And 1 and 2 a.m. has less traffic and certainly no leaf blowers.
Yes, but if you start snoring,
and even less plane traffic.
That's true.
Yeah,
and Dave,
unfortunately, my focus time has never been. I've never been able to stay much up past midnight.
Right. No, nor should you. So.
We'll see. I do have a couple other things.
All right, 10 p.m., but that's my best offer.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. There you go.
Around here, 10 p.m. is still happening.
Yeah. Good.
So also, I am needing a cartoonist for a book that I've written, and I originally had paid someone, but they're no longer with us, so they cannot do it. So I need to find someone else. So if anybody has a suggestion for that, I will put that, I guess, on the table. That would probably be a good thing to put on the table. Emails, right?
I'm sorry, I got distracted with the dogs. Yeah. You put out the yes. Put it and the trick with anything is to figure out, do I want to pay this person? Do I want to work a trade with this person? What's in it for them? Because, you know, a lot of people want the moon and the stars for free, and that's very difficult to pull off.
No. I had paid someone already, but then they passed away. I'm never going to get that money back. So
wow.
I have to re-up again and pay.
But you have an alibi on that one too, right?
Pardon?
You have an alibi on that one too, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I was very far away for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Or they were actually very far away from me. They were
Good.
not around here for that.
Good. Good. But the but yeah, absolutely. And if that doesn't work, reaching out to the table, there's Fiverr, which is a website where you can hire people and negotiate a price from around the world. There's also DeviantArt, which is another site with artists posting their work. So, and you can, and these are searchable databases where you can see samples. So yeah, so that'll work too.
Great. And the one last thing is, if anyone can get me in contact with Chris Van Dusen from Shondaland. He did Bridgerton, but I knew him many, many years ago, and the email I have for him is no longer valid. And he was very supportive of a project that I've brought back, and I'm trying to lift up now. So I would love to have that reconnect.
One thing I would suggest is many actors have websites where it's like theirname.com, and it has and they almost always have a contact thing where you can send them a message, and you'd be surprised at how many of them actually are reading their own messages from their websites.
He's not an actor though; he's the writer showrunner for it, so I don't think.
Yeah. Okay. In that case, just dial the phone randomly until you get to his number. No, it's
kind of.
You know.
That's kind of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just in case anybody has a way of.
Is he still on? Is he still on the show?
No, I think he was replaced, and I can't tell what happened with it because it was so successful. And then I heard he began the second season, and then someone else took over. So I don't know what's happening with that.
Maybe someone who worked on the show has an old call sheet.
That's possible.
I went through a friend who had he was in the electric. He was either electric or cinematographer, somewhere in that thing. And
it's not going to work.
He said he couldn't. Yeah, there was no. He couldn't get a hold of
him. The way it works with call sheets. The way it works with call sheets is the above the line people. Their contact information is not given out to anybody other than like one or two people who are actually dealing with them directly, because it doesn't go to the crew generally. Those contact numbers. What I would suggest you do is go onto IMDb, particularly IMDb Pro. If he has a manager, not an agent, if he has a manager, call the manager, because the manager might A, be willing to get you in touch with him, or B, might tell you which show he's on. Because if you call the show, then you can leave a message for him.
Right.
So that
he isn't listed as doing another show right now, but I could check with the manager.
Yeah. But I think
IMDb, there's nothing on what he's doing right now.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's still with Shondaland or not. But
but call the manager, or if he has a publicist. I mean, just take a run at it, but also you might check his social media presence, because people have, Facebook and so forth.
I kind of don't, so I have to.
Well, yeah.
Searching, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, but yeah, there'll be ways, but yeah, put out an email to the table. Sure, absolutely. That's not a problem. So, okay, great. Anything else?
No, that's plenty.
Okay, yay! 3 cheers. So, Adam, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Yes, it's a question from Rose Kirby.
Hi, Rose.
She asks, what time should I start watching season 2, episode 1 of Lower Decks? I'm going to try all 10 episodes.
I haven't really gotten into Lower Decks yet because we're so busy doing our projects. It's I've heard it's fun. I mean, the reality with all of this stuff is you have to start to say, I mean, there's such an enormous amount of content available now. You really have to start to say, well, what am I doing for my life? Am I living a life? Am I associating with other people? Am I going out into the world and doing things? It's
Wait, you're going too fast. Can we get that list a little slower?
Yes. By the way, if anyone wants to have a really fun time, and you're in the Los Angeles area, the movie theaters are trying to get people to come back, and they've drastically lowered their prices. And the Chinese theater has one theater with moving chairs that move in the motion of what's happening on the screen, and it's very fun. We just saw the new James Bond movie last night that way, and it's $5 on a Wednesday night to see it. So that's a pretty good deal. And the normal ticket price they have there is $10. So it's, they've raised the price of condiments, so you have to take out a bank loan to get a popcorn, but it's still very cool, very, very cool. I recommend it.
Do they request any proof of vaccination or masks
Yes.
or anything?
Yes, you have to wear masks. I think they require vaccination, but they don't check it. Additionally, there's caveats about the chairs that move, like if you're pregnant or
the honor system for
Yeah.
anti-vaxxers.
Anyway, be that as it may, but the point is it's fun, and fun is a thing. And also some of the museums are opening again. The Skirball Center now has an exhibit on props and costumes from all the different incarnations of Star Trek, so that's pretty cool. So and the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences Museum is now open, and it's got some really cool stuff. So okay, so great. So let's see. So Dave Edison, you're next on my screen.
Again?
No, I'm sorry, David Bartlett. Sorry, Dave. I'm a little punchy. It's been very intense. So,
all the time.
David Bartlett.
Hi, everyone. I am David Bartlett. I am a filmmaker, a teacher, and a human rights activist, and a producer of Space Command.
Yay.
And as a taxing little animal these days for the likes of the Daves and
Yes.
Davids on Space Command.
Yes.
And we're heading towards a very important deadline.
Mhm.
That's why, which
Yes.
is DVD Blu-ray release of
Yes.
episodes 1 and 2, which is happening at Christmas. And that is a remarkable statement that would take several table meetings to describe the experience. But I will spare you that. So my background started filmmaking when I was 10. I moved to a movie theater. I started working in movie theaters in Oregon. I lived in Oregon since I was almost when I was born. I was born in Seattle, Washington, for the record. And I lived in an area that later became extremely valuable property because it's a half a mile from Nike World Headquarters and Intel and a company called Tektronix, who, if you go to a hospital and you see that they have oscilloscopes tuning all of their equipment, Tektronix built the oscilloscopes.
Wow.
So it was an interesting neighborhood to grow up in. Some highlights were that I learned how to drive in the snow in the Tektronix parking lot with about probably another dozen other teenagers doing the same thing and looking at each other like, how do we do this? You know, and that was fun. But I was just back there visiting, so I have some fresh memories of that. Nike has taken over the entirety of our entire, half of our neighborhood. And they have outdoor running tracks, and they have all kinds of facilities for the staff. It's a pretty remarkable place, frankly. Anyway, who cares about that? So I moved to LA in 1980, and I started working pretty much right out of the gate. I was volunteering, and I was taking seminars, and I was getting on the set as an intern. And I started working at New World Pictures with James Cameron was a production designer, and Gaylan Hurd, his fiance at the time. So I knew them back when they were, you know, wee lads and lasses. At least they were younger. And we built a lot of sets and repurposed them twice to be 2 other spaceship sets. So it's very good timing for me to be doing Space Command now because I'm in charge of the sets. So we have other sets that have been from different movies and different TV shows, notably Cloverfield Paradox, and a set of paper-mache cave walls that were 4 feet by 10 feet that have been repurposed twice now from scratch. And that's been actually pretty fun to make them into an alien spaceship that's organic. It was fun and challenging. So all these things are going to be used in the spring to shoot more scenes, quite a few more scenes, something like 60 pages of scenes. So what we're doing now is focusing on the DVD Blu-rays. I still do work in the studio, like tomorrow, for example. If anyone wants to come down and help out in the studio tomorrow, then it is, sorry about that. Tomorrow's the day. You can email me. You can put a chat notice in here. I've got the chat in there with my email for the table email, which I'll get to in a minute, but you can use it for that too. And come down and help out, and it's lots of fun. And it's not very hot anymore, which is a good thing. Because for a while it was 95 degrees and it was 110 degrees inside the studio. And now that's behind us. So, cool. Anyway, so I then moved into big movies and post-production. I worked on Total Recall and Speed and Pulp Fiction and all kinds of films, you know, that were lots of fun to work on, and got out of that and started working on my own independent films and other people's independent films. And now I have 65 film festival awards. So if you have any questions about film festivals or big budget blockbuster movies or little tiny independent movies or Space Command, you can call me.
Great.
I always try to tell a new story. I have one this time in honor of the number of questions that were asked about books on tape and home studios. I used to work with Howard McCreary. Howard McCreary was a musical director of people like let's see, he worked with Michael Jackson. He worked with Quincy Jones.
Cool.
He worked with Anita Baker. He worked with Whitney Houston, and he was like the guy. Like if you saw the Grammys, and there were a dozen different people doing acts, he'd be the musical director of the bands that played all the music of all those bands. Him and a guy named Greg Fillinganes, who was married to Quincy Jones' daughter. The two of them were like the trade-offs for this for years, and he was a real genius. So he was married to Chaka Khan's sister. So they had a studio together, and Chaka wrote an autobiography, and it was Tammy's idea that she would read it. And we had a studio. We're all there, right? I'm an engineer. Let's just have her read it and see how it goes, and have her do a book on tape version of the book. So she was not into it, and she started reading this recording, and she's just like, "This is not." Oh my God! Tammy's like, "Please, let's finish chapter 1." She had to agree to do that. So Pro Tools is a powerful tool for recording. It has an interesting function where if you record the sound and you hit stop, it writes that to the drive into a file. But it doesn't write it as you go. It waits until you're done and you hit stop. In those days, the size of drives was not so big, and you were concerned about getting too much material. So if you did a take and you were going along, and it didn't work, you could hit Control period, and it would blow off the take and not write it to the drive, and it would be gone, right? So we're going like that for a while, and we do a take, and we do another take, we're doing a few takes, and Chaka's like, she's like 5 feet tall, she's shaped like a box, and she stands out on the stage and opens her mouth to sing, and the sound comes out, wah! And the walls are vibrating, and people are just, it's shocking to hear her in person. I've seen a lot of people play live, and a lot of people, everybody from Mick Jagger to whomever, and it's like, I never experienced anything like that before, except I did see Etta James once, and she did the same thing. So those two, everyone else, and here's Chaka, who I admire and love, in the studio, and I blew off a take.
Wow.
She said, well, let's hear that back, and I was like, it's blown off, it's gone. And she turned and looked at me with this look like, you are fucking kidding me, right? And I was like, that's one.
Wow. Jesus.
She said, what does that mean? So I went right into this joke, hoping, crossing my fingers, please God, let her not kill me. The man and his wife are riding in a horse and drawn buggy to go home. It's 10 miles to go home. They're about 2 miles. The horse and buggy stops. The man gets out, and he looks at the horse, and he punches the horse with his fist. And the horse goes, ugh. He says, that's one. He gets back in. His wife is like, what the hell was that? They go along. They're about a third of the way through the ride home, and the horse stops again. He gets out again, punches the horse. Horse freaks out, and he says, that's two. And he gets back in. The woman's like, what is going on here? I can't believe this. So they get halfway now. They're 5 miles from home. The horse stops again. The guy gets out, and he says, and that's three. And he shoots the horse, who is now dead. Okay. And the woman says, what are you doing? How can we get home now? Are you out of your mind? This is insane. He says, that's one.
Oh, God. Okay.
So I told this whole story to Chaka, and she's listening like this, and she's calming down, and she says, I have to do a big speech tonight, and I'm going to use that joke in that speech, so thank you.
There you
go. I got away with the whole thing.
Wow. Well, there you go. There you go.
Recording studio story for Books on Tape recording, my one and only recording, and that's how it went.
Great.
So, Space Command. Space Command has opportunities for people to volunteer. I kind of went over this already, didn't I?
Yeah.
So, if you have any question about reaching me, just check the chat. Dave Films, DAVEFILMS at hotmail.com.
Cool.
That is for those who are on the Mr. Sci-Fi, which is allowed to join the table and be on the table email. This is 2,000 people plus. It's all over the world. And like Mark said, you can hook up with all sorts of people and network with them and ask for information. You can offer your own information. You know, people are there with knowledge about writing books.
Yeah.
I might be calling you guys myself. I've got a book or two in me somewhere, but if Space Command ever gives me 5 minutes to think about something else.
Nope.
That's a possibility. It's going to be like that for me. It's like that for anyone. So it's a good opportunity for everyone to do that.
Great.
So third thing is table email. So if you want to be on the table email, or you're having trouble with your table email, you can contact me again at my email. That's the best way. So what you do is you get your own email, which is first and last name, full first and last name, no nicknames or whatever. You can have numbers, and it can't be on Yahoo. So get Gmail, whatever, no problem. Send it to me. I'll hook you up. I'll get it approved and security checked, and then you'll get a notice back, and you'll be able to start doing the table email. It's just that simple. So again, if you have any questions or problems, I mean, I've done a lot of teaching, I've done a lot of filmmaking, and I can help people with their problems because I think it's fun.
Cool.
So that's the end of my spiel.
Yay! 3 cheers. Thank you, David. Yay! So, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Sorry, I was in the middle of something. Yes.
Uh-oh.
We have a question from Mark Lungo.
Hello, Mark.
Who says he loved your animated life video.
Thanks.
He wants to know, can you tell us about your Centurions premises titled Terror Town, Subway to Terror, Survival Course, and Like Father, Like Daughter?
No. I can't. I wrote them so long ago that I don't remember them. But we are scanning that material. And if you remind me, I can coordinate with David and Adam and get them to you, Mark. You know, because we've known each other for many a long day. And I'd be happy to share that stuff with you. Centurions was a very odd show. My friend Ted Peterson story edited it, and he was a mumbler. So you had to really get close to him to be able to understand what the hell he was saying. And he was a terrific guy and had a very sad end. And I'm suspecting that Hallie had something to do with it. But no, he was a dear soul. And I know Mark, my friend Mark Lungo, is a big fan of Centurions. And so, yeah, we'll get that stuff to you. I just don't remember it off the top of my head. So let's see. So Carol Field, you're next on my screen.
Perfect. I just turned on my light.
Cool.
So I'm wearing 2 pairs of glasses. Everyone else knows. Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you again, Mark, for these meetings so much. It's one of the places I can relax and be culturally stimulated at the same time.
I'm glad.
It really means a lot to all of us.
Oh, well,
really
thank you.
Let's see. Very available for Zoom table reads. Lots of shows in New York, commercials here. You know that. Did Hitchcock ever write any of his movies?
He didn't write them, but he worked closely with the writers. So they were certainly, once he kind of figured out what his genre was, you can really see a consistency of outlook in his films. He has it's funny because a director like Robert Wise, it's very hard to get a beat on him because he did West Side Story and Star Trek The Motion Picture and Day the Earth Stood Still and Sound of Music. But Hitchcock is very specific. Hitchcock said, other directors make slices of life, I make slices of cake. And so, so that was very good. But yeah, so he worked very closely with Ernest Lehman on North by Northwest and so forth. Yes.
I heard he storyboarded to death.
Oh yes, he really didn't like shooting the movies. He liked storyboarding and he liked editing, but he felt that the shooting of the movie was what he had to do to get to the editing, because he'd already put the movie together in the storyboarding. He was very, very meticulous, and so yes, that's true. That's true.
Wow. Like, well, also, I hope Sweet Haven is still having some presence in your life.
Yes, we're gonna get. Probably I'm going to do a Kickstarter campaign with Rockney O'Bannon to raise the money to shoot the pilot at the top of the year. I think that's what I'm going to do. Also I'm having lunch next week with an executive from Netflix, and we'll be talking about that among the other Showrunners Network projects. So yeah.
Well, it's great, and I wish you the best.
Thanks.
That's really great.
Thank you.
Yeah, I stopped acting for 3 reasons. I'm not telling you all why. But I really haven't stopped acting, and I will do whatever you need as long as I know the people on the set and they're vaccinated.
Thanks.
I know 2 people who've been sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Absolutely.
I just finished reading Matthew McConaughey's autobiography, Green Lights. It's absolutely wonderful. And some of the stuff he says in there is for actors. He says, do not take anything in the industry personally. And I love that. And then he said, do not be impressed, be motivated.
Yes.
I think we all, I just love it. And he kept saying that throughout the book. And it's just a great book. And it just goes back to, it's all about hard work. We're just normal people. And it's, it's all about hard work.
Yes. It's like whenever an actor says, my goal is to win an Oscar, I always say, no, your goal is to create a body of work worthy of an Oscar.
That's better.
It's a very big difference. So yeah, but go ahead, please.
Let's see. I have this like really silly list that I put together. Let's see, and you really don't care about my writing, so. And yeah, if any of you need me for table reads, I'm available.
Great.
And I wish you all good health. That's all for now.
Yay! Thanks, Carol. Thank you. And if I seem to be multitasking a little more than usual, it's because I'm leaving at 3 a.m. to fly to Binghamton, New York, to be the keynote speaker at the Serling Fest. It's Rod Serling's hometown. And so I'm trying to get stuff done before I leave, and I haven't even packed yet. So it's intense. So great. So Adam, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Yes, we have another Scott Baker question.
Great. Hi, Scott.
Who asks, aside from Foundation's Selden, what other sci-fi stories posit the universe as a giant mathematical equation?
Not many, because it's an extremely, basically John W. Campbell, who was the editor of Astounding, cooked up this whole psychohistory thing with Asimov, and the Foundation trilogy was done as a bunch of short stories that were published over a number of years throughout the 40s and into the early 50s, and that was the Foundation trilogy. Then later, in later decades, Asimov wrote several prequels and sequels, but that was a really esoteric approach. Most science fiction writers were not hugely into math. If they were into any sciences at all, it would be physics and astronomy. And so Harry Seldon is rather I can't think off the top of my head of another similar guy. There's a lot of scientists in science fiction, and a lot of them are fairly boring characters. But Harry Seldon is sort of, that whole psychohistory thing was something that Asimov cooked up with John W. Campbell, and so that's that. So let's see, Bonnie, you're next on my screen.
Okay, great to be here. This is always a great bunch. Been working on different things. Today, the music library that I'm part of, the Sum of All Music, the fellow has also now begun. There's a site called Filmography, and it's open 24/7 for anybody that wants to just chat about film. So you can see people in all areas of the film biz.
Cool. So
he started a Thursday morning. Well, we have our Wednesday morning. We have our composer group. And we're collaborating and doing all these great things, but now he started a group called Film Mingle, and most of the people are not composers, so it's been really good. So that's a good networking group. Met some really interesting people through that. He's been doing that a few weeks. So if somebody's interested in that. And let's see, he's working on, what was I? There were a couple of songs for things. Someone from the table, I've been working on this musical, and she is been in New York this week, so she's meeting with some friends, people she knows. So we'll see what happens on that. Cool. That's the musical that she has a bunch of composers working on. I did one song, now she wants me to do more. And also I'm working on other, doing some holiday songs. I feel like I'm forgetting something important, but I don't know, just a lot of different things happening. And if busy as usual, and if anybody needs anything musically, that glad to help out. So just working on different projects.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I did want to just ask one thing. They were talking today about AFM, which is coming up, and I guess today is the last day to sign up before the price goes up. But I don't know. A lot of times I've heard that it's better only if you have a specific film that's there. I'm not sure.
I mean, again, what's important with any conference or convention is to just be clear on what you're going there to accomplish, because most people kind of just drift, assuming that somehow they'll meet that right person or magic will happen. And sometimes you do make friends with people who become instrumental in your life. But clarity of what I always tend to do is, I think before any conference or convention, I write down 3 goals. three things I want to get out of in order of importance, and I write them on the inside cover or on the front page of a little pocket notepad, and it could be things like meet an agent, talk to an agent about representing me. It might be pitch my book idea to this book editor or whatever, but specific. And throughout the day, when I'm at a convention or a conference, I'll look at those goals and make sure I'm still on target, because it's very easy, particularly with something monstrous like Comic-Con, to just be swallowed by it and find yourself just kind of sitting, listening to panels that have nothing to do, that can in no way advance you. And, so yeah, in terms of American film market, I mean, it's worth getting the publications that are there, but you can just stop there and grab those on the first day and for free in the lobby and leave. But it just depends on what you want to accomplish. I always try to find out what successful people do and emulate that. It kind of cuts. Yeah.
A couple of years ago, I do have a composer agent, and at the time he said, no, I don't think at the moment, but that was a few years ago. He was saying that.
Uh-huh.
I know they also have an online component this year, but of course it's local. It's right in Santa Monica.
Yes.
So, Sarah, did anyone attend virtually last year? Or
Carol did. Yeah.
I went to AFM just before the pandemic,
tomorrow.
Because I knew last year I went virtually, and they were both wonderful.
Okay.
Either way,
I thought this year was only virtual too.
I think it's in person.
I don't think it's in person.
You may be right. I know they were talking about the deadline. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is.
Yes.
So yes,
but
both were wonderful, and
yes,
I met people from all over the world.
Yes, and again, it's really important to be clear on what you want, because if your goal is to actually concretely accomplish something around your career, that's a very, 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 very specific goal. If on the other hand, it's like, well, I really love hearing people talk about the changing marketplace, or I really love meeting people from around the world. Yes, that's a valid goal as long as you're clear. That it's not so much that there's a right and a wrong to any of this. It's just knowing what you want and what you need, and making sure that you're taking those actions. The one thing you want to be careful of is not being such a guided missile that you disregard people when you talk to them. You sort of look through them. That's a terrible thing to do. So what you want to do is be present to whoever's talking to you. Now, on the other hand, if they're going on and on about themselves and not asking anything about you, that's where you can say, oh, I think the appendicitis is turning into peritonitis. I have to go now, or whatever, and yeah, or oh, my frontal lobe just died and I have to seek medical care, or whatever, I mean, there's a million ways of getting out of those kind of conversations, but you just want to make sure that your time is used well. So anything else?
No, thank you so much.
Okay, yay, Bonnie.
That was a big scoop.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bonnie Bajowski, yay, Janowski, yay. So, okay, here we go.
I'll mention, because Bonnie didn't mention it, that the short film that she scored, that I edited, that Marco Gushwitz did the color on, color correction, by Michael Charles Lopez, is in, I may have mentioned this last week, but in case I didn't, up to 3 film festivals. It's now in the Tokyo Short Film Festival, in addition to the Berlin Film Festival. And I've uploaded it and sent it off as a screening version to the San Francisco Transgender Film Festival, which will be offering it online for people to watch in November.
Great.
So,
and I really liked that.
Yeah,
I really liked that film, and it's lovely that Mike stars in it. So you can really, for those of us who miss him, it's a great way to spend a little more time with him. I really was glad that he got to finish that film. So thanks.
It's been color corrected since you've seen it, but thanks for watching.
Yeah, no, I think you guys did a great job. So
I will mention also just that there is an in-person memorial this Saturday.
Wow.
So I don't know. I mean, I received an invite. I don't know if it's
okay.
But if you want, I can send you the info.
Thanks, Bonnie. Yes, that'd be great.
I'd like to see information about that, Bonnie.
Yes.
Yeah, it's at a church up in Arleta.
Yeah, well, there's
You'll be on Saturday.
Yeah.
You're going to be away, Mark.
Yeah,
I mean, even if I don't get a chance to attend, I'd at least like to know about it.
Yeah,
Should I put it in the chat or?
I don't know. What do you think?
Sure,
sure. Yes. Sure.
I don't have any objection to that. It's our buddy Mike.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I would suggest also if you can send it to us, that'd be great because I won't. I'll be in New York. I'll be in Binghamton, but Elaine will be here, and there are so many actors that bear a passing resemblance to me. She can certainly hire one for the day. You know. Yeah.
You're so funny.
Yeah, no, but it's just, well, actually, Dave Edison just sent me something incredible, which he does every single day, but this was really something remarkable. I found a reel-to-reel tape of myself talking for about a half hour extemporaneously when I was 18 years old about what I think the future would be, okay? And my life as it was then. And I had not listened to it since I recorded it. And getting, of course, something that can play a reel-to-reel tape was quite a challenge. In fact, one of our Space Command team actually sent me an old reel-to-reel tape recorder he had from Saskatchewan, so that Dave could make it into a digital file. So I've started listening to it, and as per my memory, my voice is very different because I had not yet met Elaine, and it's got a harsher tone, it's got a more ironic tone, it's different. And so I'm going to I'll listen to all of it. I've only listened to about 5 minutes of it so far, but I'll probably pick and choose a few highlights and maybe share that on Mr. Sci-Fi because it's very interesting to see what I had to say back then, and it's not particularly someone I would want to hang out with now. I'll say that, but
1974.
Yeah, 1974. I was 18. I hadn't met Elaine. I hadn't sold my first short story. I mean, life was very different back then. So pretty interesting. So great. So is there a Mr. Sci-Fi question? Did we do that, Adam? I think there's one.
Not yet.
Go for it.
We've got one on the ready to go from
Cool.
Bruce Moore.
Great.
He asks, can you talk for a moment about some of the current trends you see happening in the sci-fi television and film genre right now?
Sure.
Or coming soon that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, sure. Gosh, I'm looking forward to Dune. I hope it's great. There's a show coming up called Invasion that might be good. It's hard to tell. Foundation, I'm giving it some rope, essentially. It's very slow to start, but it's amazingly produced. The level of production is incredibly high. I'm looking forward somewhat to Strange New Worlds, the new Star Trek series, but we'll see what they do with that. I mean, it's and For All Mankind. I'm very interested to see what Ron does with those characters getting to Mars.
But trends, what do you think?
Trends? I think the main thing is that there's such a proliferation of venues and so many hundreds of TV shows, scripted dramas and comedies. It's much, much harder for a show to make a lasting impact and gather a lasting fan base that will drive it for decades to come. I think the shows like Star Trek and Twilight Zone, it's harder now because a show may be great, but it's there and gone, and so it's just much harder for it to make a lasting impact. I personally believe that you need to present an entire world, a fantasy world or a science fictional world that's very distinctive and very big in terms of its imagination to really gain an enduring fan base. I think Game of Thrones totally screwed it up with really fucking up their ending. But because that was a perfectly viable franchise until they did that. And now it's sort of like, do I really want to watch another Game of Thrones show? Not really. I have very little interest in that because of how they screwed it up. But in terms of other trends, I hear from a lot of executives they want Earth-based shows, but that's mainly the fact that they want something that's less expensive. But space-going shows tend to have longer legs in terms of reboots and so forth, and products, toys and model kits and all that stuff. Additionally, there is now somewhat of a leaning toward positive, upbeat shows, thanks to Ted Lasso. And that serves our needs, of course, because that's very much what we want to do. So we'll see what we see. I mean, it's funny because right now I'm much more interested in just getting my stuff made, getting our stuff made, getting it out to its audience. It's like what the executives want or need is really of far less interest to me. So, but that's just me, you know. So, so cool. So let's see who's next on the screen. Oh, it's Mark Gushewitz. Yeah.
It's 6:30, so I gotta
okay.
leave. But
bye.
I leave you all in the capable hands of David Bartlett.
Great.
I'm
Terrific.
Sure will be.
Yeah. Well, knock him dead, Adam. Yay!
Thanks.
3 cheers. See you later. So now we move on to Mark Gushewitz, the ever delightful Mark Gushewitz. So go for it.
Is it me, or is that purse or whatever it is behind Carol? Does it look like an open alien egg?
That's funny. Yes.
Oh,
yes. It's a fan. It's a fan.
Now the other side. The other side.
Now speaking. That
yeah,
yes,
right
that's
there.
funny. That's great. That's funny.
Anyway, so good news for Space Command is I just finished up another project, which opens up some time for you guys as I'm working on the bonus material stuff.
Great.
I was wrong about this week. I thought I was going to be going to a film festival, but it's actually next Thursday.
Wow, cool.
And so I spent a good portion of today kind of laying out some timelines so I can get some times for David Bartlett.
Great.
Which I'm almost done with, David. I gotta call Dave Edison after this about something that I don't know if he has or not.
Sure.
So I've been busy, going through all the stuff for the Blu-ray bonus material for Space Command. So that's been taking up some of my time. I finished a couple of projects for some clients, which have been going really well. Looks like it's gonna be ongoing stuff. I've been trying to get a review for my website for a horror movie that I must insist everybody watch after I put it up. One of the movies ever made, and nobody's seen it, and it's by a very well-known director from today. Like I said, I go to the film festival next Thursday. That'll play my film, so it'll be the first festival we play at. It's in Utah.
Good luck.
We are going, and I just got word from one of the festival, the people in charge, after I booked my hotel, that they might be able to get us the hotels for free.
Well, good.
So, I can cancel my hotel at no charge. I'll do it by the 20th. So that's great. So that would be kind of cool if I could save that money.
That's neat.
Other than that, it's been busy editing. I talked to a writer about writing a feature for me because I've been so busy. I know it would never get done. And this is a table member who I've known for a long time. I actually invited him into the table. And he seems on board. We just got to discuss, legalities, of rights. And then I plan on making this feature next year. I've got all these locations in Arizona that I've been trying to utilize, but I've been so busy, I haven't been able to get the script done. So I talked to a couple of friends of mine who know this guy. And I'm like, should I just sit down with him and let him write it? And they're like, well, Mark, what do you want to do? You want to write? I'm like, no, I don't really want to write. I want to direct. It's like, bring him on, because everybody trusts him, everybody who knows it.
Yes. Yes.
So when I get back from the film festival, we're going to have a major sit down about my idea and what I was looking to do. And then I'm going to let him go and do his thing.
Great.
And hopefully we can do it for like $250,000 because I can get all the locations for free and everything. So that's my next step. Now the short is officially complete.
Cool.
And as soon as we see how it plays up on the big screen, to make sure no tweaks need to be done, I'll probably be posting it up on Vimeo with a password for people if they're interested in seeing it.
Cool. That's great.
I'm waiting to see how it plays first.
Yeah, and a couple things to mention, Mark. One is you mentioned the alien eggs. If anyone wants to own a real one, the prop store is auctioning off, has an amazing auction coming up of movie memorabilia. If you go to propstore.com, you can check out what they're auctioning off, but it includes the entire spaceship set from Prometheus, the bridge, and but they have several eggs from Alien and Aliens and Facehuggers and all sorts of cool stuff. It's a great auction. Whatever your favorite movie is, if it's science fiction or fantasy or horror, they've got stuff from it that they're auctioning off. So there you go.
But I'm glad you were to clarify the legalities. I mean, generally, I like an email of what somebody would really want.
Yes.
And I mean, ideally would want, so that in terms of credit, in terms of control, in terms of the way things operate, so that you have like a baseline to discuss things from before there's anything on the table to lose. And so if you start like from the get-go and everybody sort of knows where they're going, it is very important, because then you're not married, you don't get yourself silently married to false expectations.
Yes. Yeah.
I have learned over my 20, almost exactly 20 years of editing, I guess 21 years, that the closer you are to the person, the more you are friends, the more you want that paperwork.
Yes, absolutely.
It will destroy a friendship.
It will.
Whereas if you have that paperwork that you guys can just point to and say, no, this was the agreement.
That's right.
And so I never started anything without that, especially with friends. Unless it's like the only people I've not worried about was kind of like ongoing clients who I already know what the relationship is. We've been doing this for a long time.
Yes.
But
the paperwork will still destroy the friendship, but at least you'll get what you have on the paper.
Yes.
You'd be surprised if you can have, like when you guys get into an argument and you can go back to say, this is what we agreed to, how quickly that can actually mend things.
Yes.
So yeah,
great.
Definitely. And I'm the one who brought it up to him. And I'm actually, because he's going to be writing it, I'm going to be offering him a lot.
Yes.
Because the idea is for me to direct.
Great.
Not necessarily. So I'm going to be offering him a lot more than most people would, but I really want to get this done. And I feel like if I'm a writer, I won't give him the rights to the idea, but when it comes to payment, like, getting paid for it, I'm going to give him a lot more than me because he's doing the bulk of the work.
Yeah, that sounds great.
And you got to be fair.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's been a name that has been brought up in this group a lot. Everybody always mentions Gary Shusett.
Yes.
So I've got a story, since Dave's always telling story and we've got plenty of time and not a lot of people. I've got a story regarding Ronald Shusett.
Okay, sure.
That could teach people a lesson about making sure you always get phone numbers and cards for people. So I don't know, about 15, 20 years ago, it was like 2001, 2002. I get an email from somebody through one of these sites like Mandy.com. They had shot some stuff and they wanted it edited. And they were writers, but they wanted to kind of get their feet wet directing. So they were thinking about going in that direction. And it was Ronald Shusett and his partner, whoever that was. I can't remember the name. And they sent me this footage. I edited it together. They liked it. They brought me over to one of their houses or a location where they shot it. And we went over stuff and it felt like there was going to be a future kind of relationship there. And we talked about Total Recall and the script that he had written for Total Recall before. It was Arnold Schwarzenegger and stuff like that. And I thought everything went really well until I never heard from them again. And I wish I'd gotten their phone number because I think the reason I've never heard from them again, just so everybody knows, is I used to suffer major migraines since I was a kid till about 10 years ago. And I had a migraine that day, but I wasn't going to pass up meeting this guy. Unfortunately, I think I might have come off like I was on drugs. And that might have been why he had never called me back. And if I had gotten his number, though, I could have called them and kind of smooth things out.
Yes.
But it was a day that I'll never forget. But literally, I don't know how they pictured me because as I was really in a lot of pain.
Yes. Well, this is why it's very good to let people know what's going on with you. I don't mean you specifically, I mean all of us. When I look back over my career, the times that I was not direct are the times I regret the most. And just saying to people, I'm having a psychotic break or whatever, it's, it can really, really help. And you'd be amazed. And by the way, that's the thing. If you ever have to go to the emergency room, like let's say you cut your finger or whatever, tell them that you're your medication is not working and you're having a psychotic break, and they will put you ahead of everybody else. They do not let you wait in the waiting room. A friend of ours actually had a psychotic break, and we took him in, and man.
Well, he actually went in for something else, but it came out.
Well, he was having a psychotic break.
Yeah.
Yes. And
It's laughing so much that I'm starting to think it might be him.
yeah, no, but it was definitely a very, very important and
it really was a lesson for me. I mean, I was just starting my freelance career. I'd come off editing a travel show, and I just got my first Final Cut Pro setup and everything. And I didn't think to get their number, because at that point I'm like, oh, they're calling me. They're going to call
never
me.
assume that. No.
No. Because I could have called them. If I had their number, I could have called them up and said, hey, we had talked about this, and I apologize if I came off because of my head.
Yes.
And so it was a major lesson to never rely on anybody. Like when you're at a convention, you want to hand out your business card. First of all, that doesn't guarantee they're going to call you, but if they hand you their business card, now you've got, you can reach out to them.
Yes.
And if anything happens, you'll always be able to reach out to them.
Great.
But it was, I mean, it was an encounter with this guy who wrote one of the greatest sci-fi movies ever, Alien. And I hear Gary Shusett here all the time. And so every time Shusett comes up, I'm like, I got a story about the other Shusett.
Yeah, Gary, and for those who don't know, Gary was his brother. Gary ran Sherwood Oaks Experimental College, which was terrific, and then Ron was his brother, who teamed with Dan O'Bannon on Alien and Total Recall, and they were a really fairly remarkable family, I must say. So So anything else, Mark?
No, not really. Just at this point, just really busy kind of editing away and with the feature and the Space Command stuff.
Cool.
So,
well,
busy,
great.
And it's always good to be busy. So,
great.
Thanks.
Okay, yay, 3 cheers. And is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question, David?
Yes.
And everyone should mute their mics if they're not, if it isn't their turn. Thanks.
Mute your mics. Here we go. So Jay Apperon. Now, I jumped in for Adam, and I'm not sure where I am on the list here, but let's see if I've got it. How excited are you hearing the news Earth has a reasonable chance to nudge, nuke an asteroid off an impact course with Earth and the upcoming nudge test?
That's really interesting. Yes. Knowing how most things go, they'll probably succeed in nudging it so it hits Earth. It's like, but if they succeeded it, that would be absolutely terrific. I mean, but I frankly think that we should do everything possible to avoid extinction. The probability of an asteroid hitting Earth in, the foreseeable future is large. And so I would say that establishing colonies on Mars and other planets is a very good idea, and moons of the solar system. And I think that the more we can monitor asteroids, the more we can find ways to deflect them, is a good thing. There is a movie coming out that Roland Emmerich has directed with Halle Berry, in which the moon hits the Earth. And I am praying that's a good movie, because that is exactly the kind of movie I would enjoy if it's well done. It's so ridiculous, but we shall see what we shall see. So let's now, Cherie, if you want to take your turn.
Hello. I wanted to ask a couple of questions before I start talking about me.
Sure.
One is, are we going to be able to see the David Lopez short?
Mike Lopez.
Mike Lopez. Sorry.
Dave, does someone have an opinion on that? I'd love to share it with the table, but yeah.
It's in festival consideration at the moment, so sometimes they don't want things released, but I'm in touch with the director, Tamir Yardeen, who's also a table member.
Yes.
So ASAP, we'll put it up there, and maybe we'll put it up as a hidden link anyway. If it's okay with Tamir.
Yeah, because I think
I've talked to Dana, who's handling all the festivals and stuff with that. I've been helping her, and
she is.
Yeah, they're definitely talking about having a link that people can watch of it that's private.
I think that's good, because I think people would really love to spend a little time with Mike, and he was one of the real dear people and a real major table member as table members go.
It is a touching little film.
It is, and it's drawn from his experience as a cop, and and again, he felt totally stymied until we put him, said to him, utilize the table, utilize the people at the table, and just get going, shoot something, make it happen, and he did. and and I think that gave him a lot of satisfaction. So we all miss him, but at least he did something with his time that we can all be pleased about. So, and thank you everyone who worked on it, because I'm really glad that it got made and it got finished. So thank you all.
And thanks for asking, Sherry.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Also, and then my second question is, do you have a release date for greenlighting yourself? Because I really want to read it.
Yeah, it's going to be released at the top of the coming year. I don't know specifically which month, but it's all done. I've got the publishers and amazing people have given me blurbs. Damon Lindelof and Guillermo and J.J. Abrams and so forth. And so it's cool. But my guess would be maybe around February, March, something like that. It'll be in the near future. I'll let everyone know, of course, when it's out, because it's going to be the greatest book ever. And so I'm glad that I got it done. And it's a lovely thing when you finish a book, because books are a major undertaking. They're much different from scripts, and novels are the hardest of all. Novels are the hardest thing to write, but having done that, but nonfiction books, The Twilight Zone Companion took me 5 years, and it was 1,000 pages in manuscript. So that was, that was a huge undertaking. Greenlighting yourself is just the encapsulation of everything Elaine and I have been teaching for, like 20 plus years, and it was good to get that in book form. So yeah, thanks for asking. So go ahead, please.
Okay, so 2 things. We penciled in a date for a table read for my comedy script.
Cool.
And it's going to be Wednesday, November 10th.
Great.
At 6:30. So I'm going to send out an email to the table to try to get readers. And I know, Carol, you always say you want to do reads, so that would be awesome.
Great.
Yeah, I want you to do the antagonist, so it would be awesome. And then I guess I need to know how to do something. Basically, so I'm in a lighting class right now, and our midterm is a paper on a favorite cinematographer. And the cinematographer I've chosen, there's not a lot about him online. I could do kind of just like a puff piece based on what's online, but I would really love to interview him.
Okay.
And when I go to his website, his contact information is his agent at WME. And I just don't know if they would even try to hook me up with him. How would you approach it? What would be the best way for me to see if he would even be interested in being interviewed?
What's his name?
Oh, sorry. Okay, I can't really say his last name correctly. His first name is Michael, and then the last name is Fimangari.
Yeah, that's an anagram. There's no such guy. It's seriously, you could call the union of cinematographers, and they might be able to connect you up with him. Additionally, you could find out what he's working on now, or his work.
I know what his next thing is. He's actually going to start directing, and it's in January is when production goes, and it's the next Mike Flanagan Netflix 8-part series.
Wow, cool.
Fall of the House of Usher.
That's great.
And so he's directing 4 of those 8 episodes.
Yeah, so I would
Have you tried social media to track him?
I have not. I just looked up his personal site, and I looked up IMDb, but I don't have the IMDb Pro. So
I would see if he has a website under his name, because he might. It'd be like markzicree.com, it's like that kind of thing, because you'd be surprised at how many people actually do. And that's a very direct way of getting to people. Additionally, he's probably on LinkedIn, most likely, or you could just call Flanagan's office. You can call
I can bug them. Okay.
No, but seriously, if you call,
I can chime in too. Sherry, this guy shot Midnight Mass. And absolutely gorgeous work. If you want, I can help you track him down. I might be able to help you track him down. Some kind of fun. I like to do that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
I'll email you.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Cool. That's great. Anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you so much.
Yay. 3 cheers. Excellent. So, David, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Yes, there is. This is okay. So from Jerry Lahane. The fault of all Mars movies and TV is the real Mars people wear only light clothes or naked. What? Zero mask, zero spacesuits.
Huh.
Not quite sure that's true, but frankly, for me, they do seem to wear a lot lighter weight. Like the moon people, the explorers on the moon they wore like an entire, giant thick suit and stuff. And the Mars movies seem to be much more trimmed down.
Well, one of my favorite Mars movies is The Martian, and I think that was pretty close to an accurate view of things. I mean, there's a few things like, perchlorates they didn't deal with, but I think that was pretty close because basically, the designs of spacesuits have evolved. It's really interesting that NASA recently announced that it could not meet the deadline of the spacesuit. It's been designing this monstrously ugly thing. It's designed by committee. So they've actually reached out to the private sector, and Elon Musk is saying, well, I can put together a spacesuit for you guys, and I'm sure he can. And so I don't think they have to be as bulky as the moon suits. I really don't. And interestingly enough, the moon suits had that exact same problem. It was an aerospace contractor that had the contract to develop the moon spacesuits, and they screwed it up. And so ultimately it was given out to a contractor who had not worked in aerospace at all. And they came up with something that really worked well. But spacesuits are a challenge, definitely, speaking as an aficionado of them. But in terms of Mars, there's all sorts of problems we're going to encounter. I think it's going to be an extremely difficult environment for many, many reasons. If I were going to have a habitat to stay in, I would choose a cave, because that would protect you from the radiation. It would protect you from potential small meteoroid strikes. But
you don't know what's living in that cave.
Well, yes, it's true, but that would be interesting in and of itself. But again, we'll see. It's gonna. I mean, when you think about Jamestown, I mean, a lot of the early American colonizations, towns, etc., they died because it was even a fairly verdant earth terrain proved fatal to people who were not used to living there. And Mars is going to be very difficult.
I think living in those caves are cows.
Space cows.
We
Martian cows, because of the methane.
Yes, we have methane, and so it's got to be
right.
all those caves are filled with cows.
It's space cows. Yeah. Well, yeah. Good luck with that. Yeah. So okay.
You've visited Bronson Cave, haven't you?
Yes. And it's going to be exactly the same.
See it conquered the world, stepping out of it. Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
Yes, we do. We do. Yes. And by the way, speaking of Mars,
I live like 4 blocks from there.
There you go. But speaking of Mars, my little necklace here, it has pieces of Mars, the Martian terrain in it. There's when meteors strike Mars, they send up ejecta, some of which reaches escape velocity, and some of which of it lands on Earth as meteorites. And so I've got little pieces of Martian meteorites here in my necklace. So just to let those people who are curious know. So cool. So Akira, I guess you're next.
Okay, hello, this is Akira. So first of all, thank you very much, Morocco. It was really, really fun lecture on the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, that was fun.
I really enjoyed that.
Thanks.
So anyway, nothing new to me, So I'm film composer and guitarist and Japanese language advisor, and doing some private lesson for guitar and Japanese, and composing for the horror and suspense film mainly.
Cool.
And but one big thing for me happened to me is I fell down to the ground from my skateboard.
Oh no!
And I twist my wrist and I hit my rib so hard.
Oh no!
I could not laugh and could not cough. It's so hard,
Yes.
I really realized the meaning of the song, like a Beatles, twist and shout,
Yes.
Or twist your, wrist right on the skateboard and shout because of the pain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is about me. Just if I put my homepage URL on the chatting board, and you can listen to my music. And if you want, collaborate with me, I'm open to everybody.
Yeah.
That's about me.
Thank you,
Great.
Akira, and I feel better soon.
you.
Pain is no fun. The immediate things I thought of were when you mentioned you were injured falling off your skateboard was one, worrying about if Hallie was behind you and was somehow responsible for it, given the other things that have been happening. She's a suspicious character. You don't know that because that was before you came on. But the other thing is, you know, this again is proof of my credo: don't do anything. You know, because it's like, you know, it's always but I must admit that it is a very interesting experience where you're suddenly flying through space. I've had that experience. Falling downstairs and missing curbs and so forth, and it's yeah, we are very fragile creatures, and we need to be very careful because stuff can happen, you know.
Well,
so
first something terrible happens, and then you have to pretend that nothing terrible happens, so you won't be too embarrassed.
Yes, and one of my favorite stories is it's a true story of some people found a decapitated head, and they called the paramedics, and the paramedics arrived and said, "What do you expect us to do?" Because it's a head. They couldn't revive it. You call the cops, you call the coroner, you know, you don't call the paramedics. So, but anyway, that's just a side thing. Is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question, David?
Indeed. So, there's a lot of Mars stuff kicking around.
Cool.
First, a little pause for a little commercial break. Someone asked if it is still okay to request a table email membership as per the instructions you gave here before. Absolutely. You can ask anytime.
Great.
Send me email anytime and I'll get you hooked up. Doesn't matter. Day or night, 24/7, whatever it is. Okay?
And your email is davefilms, DAVE films @hotmail.com.
That is correct.
There you go. I win.
All right. Yeah, now, in Haxt says, they say there is more biomass in the soil and rocks on Mars than on the surface of Earth.
Well, it depends on how you define biomass. You know, it's like there's definitely subsoil water, which is great. There's, I'm sure there's underground lakes and things like that that they'll discover. There's also, of course, you know, frozen ice caps and all of that. It's a world of great possibility. I think it would be incredibly difficult to terraform it to where it would be similar to Earth. 3+ billion years ago, it had an atmosphere of a similar density to Earth's. It was, but the problem is that, you know, it doesn't anymore. It has an atmosphere that's 1% of Earth's, and there's incredibly little oxygen. So it's a harsh terrain, but the cool part is that there are the constituents in the soil to make rocket fuel, and to utilize the water and split the water through electrolysis into you know, oxygen and hydrogen, and all of that stuff is really good news. And you know, so it's a world teeming with possibility, despite how harsh it will be. So I'm really eager for Elon Musk to get people up there. I think he's the one to do it. I very much want him to do it first, and not the Chinese. I think it'll be a very different vibe if the Chinese land there as opposed to Elon getting there. For all of problems some people may have with Elon Musk, he is definitely a visionary, and he definitely means what he says, and he's very serious about getting people to Mars, and I wish him luck. Absolutely. And I guess if Shatner gets to 100, he'll be there too. So, you know, we'll see what happens. So now it's Elaine, wonderful Elaine. Yay, Elaine, go for it.
Okay. Well, one thing before I forget.
Yes.
The Beverly Hills Art Fair is on this weekend.
This weekend, yes.
Which is on Santa Monica Boulevard, just by Beverly Hills. It's several blocks long.
And it's free. Yeah.
It's free, and they have really
great
good
art. Yeah.
And they've got music and food, and it's an outdoor thing.
Lots
of dogs. So I would highly recommend on Saturday or Sunday having a look and wander over the grassy, wander through the grassy.
It'll be on Santa Monica Boulevard, right near the Beverly Hills Library, for those who are here in LA.
And so it's a lot of fun and very good art and lots to eat.
And what else?
So okay, and other than that, just still plugging along, working toward, with a lot of people's help, landing a grant to get some of the first money, which will hopefully
a $500,000 grant from Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which will hopefully, because it's a science fiction piece, and which is not usually like me, but fortunately it has themes that are,
You-ish.
me-ish, yes.
Yeah.
And and so just plugging away with that and with
Cool.
Space Command.
Yay.
Yeah, and so just keeping infernally busy.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yes, yeah, because and thanks again, as I mentioned last time, to the team. We just did a little. We have a battle on Titan, and which I wasn't very keen on, and I got to throw a whole bunch of character stuff at it very simply.
We reshot, and it's much better now.
Much better, and thanks to my small but crazily dedicated team, it looks like something.
Yes.
So,
yes, exactly. Yes. So great, terrific.
Okay, yeah,
yay.
That's it for me.
So
yeah.
anything else?
No, that's it for me.
Okay, yay, Elaine. So is there a final Mr. Sci-Fi question, Mr. Bartlett?
Indeed. Oh, let's see here. I don't know if you've already done this one. It says Bruce Moore says, "Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Sci-Fi. Can you talk for a moment about some current trends you see happening in the sci-fi television or film genre?"
We did
right
that.
now?
We did that. We did that one, David. Okay. We did that one.
One more.
Yeah.
In layman's terms, convince me Lagrange point 1 million miles away toward the sun.
Is that a question?
I think it was trying to be a question.
I don't know what the question is.
What is this Lagrange point 1 million miles away?
The Lagrange point is a point equidistant between the like the Earth and the Moon or whatever. It's you can position constructions there, and they won't be drawn to the gravity of the Moon or the gravity of the Earth because they balance. If I understand it correctly, which I may not, but in Space Command, I refer to the Lagrange genocides as happening. The Bangladeshis. Climate change causes Bangladesh to become flooded. They go off into space as workers, low-pay workers, and there's a genocide against them. So it's the Lagrange genocides are referenced in Space Command Forgiveness, our second story, starring Ferran Tahir, and so I utilized that. Yes.
Yeah, I think he's asking you to describe in more layman's terms the Asimov reference to that.
I don't know what the Asimov reference to it is, so I'd have to.
You just did that. I was definitely interested in what you were saying.
Well, that's what I know about, but I'd have to go back and refresh my memory and make sure I have everything right. But I think that's kind of the gist of it. Yeah. So. Good. Okay, cool. So now it's me. Wow. Yay, me. Well, as I mentioned, I have to get up at 3 to get to the airport in time to fly to Binghamton, New York, where I'm the keynote speaker for the Rod Serling Fest. It's Rod Serling's hometown. The merry-go-round that he grew up with is there, and it has been redecorated with Twilight Zone imagery. It should be a very interesting event. I've never been to Binghamton. All the other guest speakers are on Zoom, but they're flying me out there, and I'm curious to go. So I'll just be there from tomorrow through Monday, but it should be interesting. And meantime, God, we're busy. I'm getting ready for the Twilight Zone commentaries campaign, where I'm going to do over 100 episodes of the Twilight Zone audio commentaries. I'm listing the Twilight Zone minutes, a different episode per day on Mr. Sci-Fi. We're working on Space Command, finishing the first 2 hours and getting the Blu-rays and DVDs finished and shipped by Christmas. We are getting visual effects shots in from the 3rd hour, which we've finished shooting, and we've started shooting the 4th hour of Space Command. This does not include the 2-hour bonus episode we did during the pandemic, nor the prequel, which we've done as an animatic and a graphic novel and an audio play, nor the short story I wrote, Grizzled Space Jockey. But we're working with Mark Gushwitz and Dave Edison and David Bartlett and so forth to get everything ready in time. Greenlighting Yourself is done. And so as was mentioned, my publisher will be putting it out in the next few months, which I'm very glad of. And in terms of someone raised the issue about audiobooks, and I may well read the audiobook of that book because it is very much in my voice and represents my attitudes and so forth. So I may have Elaine. There's one acting exercise that Elaine did and or wrote, and so I may have her read that part. We'll see. Well, we'll talk about it further. Beyond that, the Showrunners Network. I'm talking with Rod Serling's kids and his agent about doing this new Rod Serling show I want to do. And I just found out something very interesting today, which is that there are a number of Rod Serling scripts that were written for Night Gallery that were not made because he and Jack Laird, the showrunner, had violent disagreements in terms of taste. Rod Serling had taste, and Jack Laird, he was knocking back a quart of vodka a day. So, whereas because of a really stupid glitch in Rod Serling's contract on Twilight Zone, the 2 Twilight Zone pilot scripts he wrote, is we're not going to be able to shoot those unless CBS buys this new show. But the Night Gallery scripts have reverted back to Rod, and so those have great possibility. And so there's going to be a discussion to be had. And so we're doing 6 new series under the Showrunners Network, and we're going to be financing those and shooting those. And amazing actors are in many of them already, and major showrunners are in them already, and Emmy winners and all that stuff. And anything else I'm forgetting? God, it's a ton of stuff. It's busy.
Well, you have to pack, so you better.
I have to pack. I have to go pick up the thing at Whole Foods that Dave has sent me, whatever the hell it is. If it's broccoli, I will not be pleased, but I will go check it out. And
but it's got cheese sauce.
Yes, cheese sauce. Well, thank you, Dave. And in the meantime, I'm posting a lot on Mr. Sci-Fi. And oh, Dave, by the way, I found the Doug Drexler thing I was looking for, so you don't need to go searching for it or send it to me or anything.
Right.
Okay, and I'll see.
Yeah, we've got. I'm often hooked up to over 12 drives here, trying to find little elements for the behind the scenes stuff that we've been doing over the years. We've got a lot of files. If it was ever possible to show people everything, there'd be some exploded heads.
I wouldn't worry about all of this stuff. I mean, let's not kill ourselves over all that. And but beyond that, life is very exciting. Life is very cool. And Elaine and I are starting to work on doing the rewrites on the rest of season 1 of Space Command, and so we're moving ahead on that. And life is good. Life is fun. And so that's about it for me. That's about it for now. If anyone is in the New York area, I will be in Binghamton, New York from Friday through Monday, and Saturday and Sunday is the Serling Fest. So if you're in that neighborhood, stop by. If you want to bring a copy of the Twilight Zone Companion, I'll sign it. And watch this space. There's a lot more to come. If you haven't subscribed to the Mr. Sci-Fi YouTube channel, you should, because there's a ton of stuff on it. Whatever you're interested in regarding science fiction, I'm sure I've talked about it. And that's about it for now. So anything else anyone needs? I think we're good. I don't see any hands. So everyone have a safe and sane week. And
have a safe trip.
Thank you. Dave Edison had a brilliant suggestion, which was that because I'm doing a different Twilight Zone episode each day, Nightmare at 20,000 Feet is set on an airplane, so I'm going to do the Twilight Zone minute on the airplane. So that's going to be very, very fun. And there's 2 other episodes that dealt with airlines, and so I'll probably do those ones as well. But unless I forget, and then we'll just do it on green screen. So
it'd be great if you saw a gremlin on the wing while you were doing it.
It would be very, very interesting, wouldn't it be? Well, I'll tell you one funny thing, and then I'll finish. Rod Serling claimed that he staged a practical joke on Matheson on an airliner where he had a photo of that gremlin taped to the outside of the window on Matheson's seat. And he said he took for months to set this up with the airline and have it happen. And the prop, it was an old prop plane, and it blew the picture off before Matheson ever saw it. Now, Matheson claims that never happened, but Serling certainly tells it in detail. So, it's an interesting question of veracity. But okay. So,
Mark, are you going to be going to Manhattan?
No, I thought about that, and I very much like Manhattan, but because we're so slammed right now, I'm not going to Manhattan. But if you want to talk to me and give me a coherent reason to do so, or by the way, it's much closer to England also. If were a reason for me to do either, I'd love to, but
No, to hip up on Dave's idea, you could do an intro to the Spielberg's Night Gallery episode while you're in Manhattan.
Yes, but since I'm not doing the Night Gallery minute, I don't have to do that. Yeah, but no, but it's we shall see what we shall see. So definitely check out the Prop Store auction. It's very cool. It's a walk down memory lane. They've got some amazing things, and we will see you next time, guys. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye, guys. Bye, everyone. So there we go. And bye, Mr. Sci-Fi fans, and we will talk again real soon. Bye.